Forget the yellowed maps in libraries or the cold display cases where rusty swords now rest under low-energy lights. You're in the heart of the 12th century, lost in a maze of streets so narrow they barely let a ray of sunlight through. Toledo's air feels heavy. It smells of red-hot iron, tanned leather, and the sweet aroma of marzipan drifting out from behind a convent's walls. Listen to the echo of the cathedral bells blending with the murmur of scholars at the School of Translators and the rustle of silk cloaks over cobblestone streets. Welcome to the digital rebirth of the Imperial City, a journey where the most sophisticated algorithms merge with the soul of an ancient rock to turn you from a tourist into an inhabitant of time. Artificial intelligence isn't here just to show you images. It's here to open the gates of a city where three worlds lived side by side under the edge of legend. This is what 1,100 years of Toledo feel like, from its legendary forge to its eternal rule over the Tagus. In History Reborn, we travel through the eras and cities that define the world and give them a visual identity. Let's begin this journey into the past. Toledo rises on a hill almost completely surrounded by the Tagus River, a natural position that made it since antiquity a strategic stronghold coveted by Romans, Visigoths, Muslims, and Christians. From a distance, the city looks suspended above the water, as if stone itself had learned how to adapt to the terrain. But when you get closer, what you find is not one city, but many layered on top of each other through time. If you walked through Toledo in the 10th century during Andalusi rule, you would enter a walled city where life revolved around narrow, winding streets designed not for comfort, but for shade and defense. The houses, built from stone and adobe, cluster together with no apparent order, yet follow a precise climate logic to shield against the extreme summer heat and retain warmth in winter. Inner courtyards are the heart of each home, cool spaces where family life unfolds. The city is not silent. In a narrow bazaar covered by cloth that filters the light, a Jewish merchant slowly lowers the wooden shutter of his shop while listening to the market's final call. A few feet away, a child runs between sacks of spices, and a blacksmith drags a freshly tempered sword, still steaming. Toledo breathes mixture, noise, and tension in every street. The Tagus River is much more than a landscape. It is the invisible infrastructure that sustains the city. It provides water, powers mills, irrigates orchards, and connects economic activity with the surrounding territory. Without it, Toledo would not exist as a city. After the fragmentation of the Caliphate of Cordoba in the 11th century, Toledo became an independent taifa. It was a period of great cultural and economic splendor. The city strengthened its walls, expanded its neighborhoods, and consolidated its role as a link between the Christian north and the Islamic south. Here, not only goods circulated, but also ideas, knowledge, and traditions. But that balance was fragile. In 1085, Alfonso VI of Castile conquered Toledo. However, unlike other cities taken by force, there was no total destruction or immediate depopulation here. The city changed hands, but much of its social structure remained intact for a time. Christians, Jews, and Muslims continued living in the same spaces, though under new political hierarchies. Mosques began to be transformed into churches, but many kept Islamic architectural features, horseshoe arches, brickwork, decorative plasterwork. From this blend emerged Mudéjar art, one of the most distinctive features of Toledo's visual identity. The streets remained narrow, almost labyrinthine. They were not designed for carriages or large processions, but for daily life, for shade, for the slow movement of a densely inhabited medieval city. Walking through Toledo in the 12th and 13th centuries meant moving through a complex coexistence. Three main communities shared the city: Christians, Jews, and Muslims, not always in harmony but in constant contact. Each had its own neighborhoods, religious institutions, and economic networks, yet all took part in urban life. One city, multiple identities. In this context emerged one of the most important intellectual centers in medieval Europe, the School of Translators of Toledo. There, scholars from different cultures worked translating texts from Arabic into Latin and Castilian. Works of philosophy, medicine, astronomy, and mathematics that had been preserved and developed in the Islamic world were brought back into circulation across Western Europe thanks to this collective effort. Toledo became a bridge between worlds. Meanwhile, the city kept growing inside its walls. Space was limited, so the solution was vertical, multi-story houses, balconies that almost touched, and alleyways growing narrower and narrower. Urban density increased, and with it the intensity of daily life. Everything happened close by, everything could be heard, everything was shared. In the 13th century, construction began on Toledo Cathedral over the site of the former Great Mosque. It was one of the most ambitious architectural projects in medieval Castile. The work stretched on for centuries and completely transformed the city's skyline. The Gothic towers began to dominate the horizon, visible from anywhere in the surrounding area. The cathedral was not just a religious space. It was a statement of power. It represented the consolidation of Christianity as the dominant structure in the city and the kingdom. At the same time, Toledo maintained its prestige as a center for weapon production, especially swords. Toledo's steel became famous throughout Europe for its strength and flexibility. Workshops operated under harsh conditions, among furnaces, hammers, and cold water used to temper the metal. This craft did not only support the local economy, it also defined the city's international reputation. During the 16th century, Toledo reached one of the highest points of its symbolic importance. It was the imperial capital under Charles I. However, that centrality did not last long. In 1561, the court moved permanently to Madrid, and Toledo lost its main political role. Even so, the city did not disappear from history. On the contrary, it reinvented itself. It became a religious and cultural center of enormous weight. Convents, monasteries, and churches multiplied, occupying spaces that had once belonged to other communities or urban functions. The expulsion of the Jews in 1492 marked a deep rupture in the city's social structure. Entire neighborhoods changed population, and with that, a fundamental part of Toledo's intellectual, economic, and cultural life was lost. Soon after, pressure on converted Muslims also altered the historical balance that had defined the city for centuries. Still, the architecture remained. Stones do not forget. Today, as you walk through Toledo, you can still feel all of these overlapping layers. Roman walls, Islamic street plans, Gothic churches, Renaissance convents. Every street is a timeline. Every wall is a stack of stories. Toledo is not a city of one era. It is a city of all its eras at once. Closing Toledo is not just a historic city. It is a living layering of 1,000 years of change, where every stone preserves the trace of those who lived there before. Walking through it is like traveling through time without ever leaving the present. But this is where our journey into the past ends. Tell me, did you know about this historical evolution? Leave it in the comments. And if you enjoyed this dive through time, hit like, subscribe to History Reborn so you don't miss any journey, and click on this video if you want to keep discovering the best kept secrets of our past.